I appreciate everybody checking in. I just want to, we had a couple different spots we left off between both blocks, so I just wanted to make sure everybody got the best information I can give you now in order to complete our course, or at least get started in the course. So I don't got any great stories about my eye here. I think it's just allergies or something. So yeah, not any good stories for that. But anyway, so just in a quick review, of course, you're just going to open your computer apps, whether it's your on day or off day. You should be doing daily attendance. A bunch of you have already clicked in here and selected this today. So today's Iron Man versus Captain America. So we already have some people. It looks like everybody in class already has it done. So fantastic. Those of you in cohort B on Thursday, we didn't get a chance to finish up and how to make sure everything is set up. And great question. Already a couple of you sent me. What can I be doing on my Chromebook? And we're going to get to that in a minute. I just want to quickly review how to get your materials. And really, the main thing is since Schoology's been a little flaky, my suggestion is to go ahead and get this stuff downloaded if you're on campus to the PC on campus. You can even copy the files to your Google Drive or file stream. And if you're working at home, download them to your computer there. And what I'm talking about is these are your primary two things to work with. There's the Office 2016 text and the student files. So the text you can just open up like this. And it doesn't. And I also mentioned that this is going to work way better outside of Schoology. The PDF is so much slower. So if you download it and work it in any other, in the web browser or in Adobe Reader, it's going to be a lot more smooth than trying to read it in here. So I would definitely do that. So to get a copy, when it loads here, you're just going to hit download. And if you look down, here I'll move my window. You should see in your browser that it's downloaded the Office 2021 text. Generally, whatever computer you're on, this is going to put it in the downloads folder. So here I'm just doing show all, and I'm in Chrome right now, and I could just show in folder and it will go to downloads, and then I just have that whole text there that I can read the textbook. So that's the best way to get your textbook. The next item is all the files to complete the lessons. And again, we didn't talk about this in the second cohort, what you're actually going to be working on. So, but let's get these files done first, and then we'll talk about that. So again, I'm going to just go ahead and click here. It's a zip file, so obviously it's not going to load here, but when I click it again, if you're in Chrome, this is how it should behave, is it will download here. You can see I can do the same thing over here, hit show all, and then show in folder. And you can see here it moved it to downloads, and then I would right click and extract all. You're going to want to extract before you use the files. You should get a window something like this, and yes, I'm just going to extract, and it should put it in that same file. This will happen on Windows. This isn't something that would work in the same way on your Chromebook. So this is on your school computer if you're doing it on a Windows computer at home. Then when I make sure you're not doing the zipped one, the one that's extracted, because the files are going to be more usable, and sometimes if you're doing out a zip file, you're going to have an error with the file. So you're going to be working in Word Module 5, and there's the files when you get to that. So let's go back to Schoology. Oops, wrong button there. So those are the two main things. So I'm going to come back up to the top of the folder, and in my video you can see some things I have hidden at this time. Those are just teacher stuff that I want to make sure it's set up before it is sent to you guys. So in regard to the course, how I approach this is you guys have all taken Computer Apps 2 at a different time. Some of you had it 2 years ago. Some of you had it in the spring and only had it half virtual. So we kind of had a hodgepodge of what you guys have been doing, and some of you may not have been in Microsoft Word for 2 years. So yes, this is Word Module 5 that you did in Computer Apps 2. So if I open that up, look at it as we're going to spend approximately 3 to 4 weeks reviewing to make sure you didn't miss anything. So yes, you're going to go ahead and launch these and work on these again to trying to fill any of those gaps and get us back in Microsoft Word to get those experience. However, the one thing we need to do is come back and approach this in a more academic fashion. In other words, when we did these before, and we just looked at, let me go ahead and actually open up the PDF. And again, I'm just opening it from the download so it loads a little bit faster. And if you're not too familiar with working with these, you can just type in the numbers for the pages. Maybe you don't have to scroll so much. So I'm just going to the beginning of Unit 5. And as I mentioned in class, if you guys put the honest effort in everything I give you, passing the licensing exam won't be a problem. You guys will do fine. But you have to put in that honest effort to be prepared. So, my point being, I know you already have this table. I know you already probably have a copy. It doesn't do you any good just to submit it to me again. You've got to go through and do this again. But when we did Computer Apps 2, for the most part, most students just jump in and we just go ahead and blaze through these steps and get it done. You have to approach this in the perimeter of the lesson. What I mean by that is you got to do the reading. These quick tips. Down here at the bottom in the text we see different command menus. And some of the stuff isn't in the lessons, but it is stuff you may see on the exam. There are multiple versions of the exam. So you may get, one student may get 10 questions on tables, another student may get 1. So we have to be prepared across the board. So you can see other stuff. As I scroll through the text here, converting text to table and table text. This reading is what's essential to us. Quite honestly, a couple students, I am not requiring it, but develop their own note sheet they take from all of this. I'm not going to grade it, but those are students who score in the 900s, which it's a 1,000-point test, and you have to have a 700 to pass. But you also are assigned a grade based on your score. So you would pass with a licensing score of 700, but then your grade would be C-, and most of you would like a higher grade than that. So if you want to be max prepared, definitely create your own notes. So you could just make something like tips for tables, and just any of these tips or trouble items, you could just jot down notes from this. So those are things, a different way to approach this than just clicking and get the lessons done. The kids who made their own note sheets and did the reading, they smoked the licensing test with no problems. Same thing here. See, as I come down, copy and moving rows, there's just a little extra information. It's going to be super valuable. Any of these pictures that you think is help, you can just copy and paste or take a snippet of those things and just add them to your notes. So that's the way to really approach this. So yes, our first 3 to 4 weeks to review. After that, we switch to more test prep and a different style of lessons and things that we'll be working on. A little more complex, more advanced, because we all should be ready to go by then. Again, as we look at this, weeks 1 through 8, or 1 through 4 review, weeks 4 through 7, or 7.5, test prep. Week 8 will be our first shot at passing the licensing exam. Week 9 will be if we need to take a retake on the licensing exam. After your first 4 weeks, you'll take your first practice test, and it will be in a very similar format to the licensing test. So you'll have some familiarity with it. It is a production-based test, so it will be just like your assignments in the book. This and certain things happen, please remove a table column, add a table column, add this information. That's what's going to be a test question. It will be visually in Microsoft Word. So Word will be loading on your computer when you take the licensing test. So we'll have more than one chance to do the practice test. So you don't need to have any nervous energy towards, I don't know what the test is going to look like. You will see something exactly like it here after we finish the review section. So you can see here I put the files in, but they would be downloaded in your zip to complete that. The next part of this is the Word Module 5 quiz, and I should just rename that because we're going to do it a little differently. It's more A, B, C, D based, if you will. So it launches as a quiz to take in Google Forms. What we're going to be doing with that, I'm going to actually fix this one screen over here a little bit. I'm also testing out my new recording software, so I'm kind of geeking out a little bit as I make this video. In visiting with cohort A, I was just kind of thinking we're going to come back, and rather than take this quiz straight up, especially since some of you are at home, we're going to go ahead and approach this as more of a study guide. So when I launch this quiz, you can launch it in a new window if you want. Might be a little easier. And it does say 2016. The version of the licensing you'll test will be the newest we can, which will be 2019. But I do have lessons that bridge a gap because there are just a handful of things that are different in the newer version. But we actually, when we go to our test prep time, we will do lessons specific to anything that's different in the newest version, because that way you're certified in the newest version possible. So, for instance, the table button is on the Insert tab. So we're just answering all these questions, but we're going to approach this as a study guide. So you can actually do it as a study guide with the textbook. So I could just tab over here if I need it and come through Unit 5 and help find some of those answers. So as I've thought through this morning, this is probably the perfect thing to be doing if you guys don't have Microsoft Office at home and we're not set up to remote in. So if you guys feel like you want to be working moving forward, let's go ahead and take the time and do this as a study guide. I'll rename this here in a little bit and we'll call it our study guide. And that's how we'll approach this. And then when you're done, it submits. What I have to do, I will enter your grade on this because I actually have to go into Google Forms to see your grade. Obviously, as a study guide, for the most part, we should all have 100% on this. So that's how we'll approach that. And if you're having any confusion, we can always, talk about this. You can ask questions in class if necessary on Tuesday. Those of you in Cohort B, Cohort A, obviously you're in class the next couple days to clarify this. Our goal is to do essentially one of these modules a week. So we're through week 4. I'll break down the calendar and update these due dates on these. If at any time you're blazing through these and just want to power through, you want to get 4 modules done next week, I'm all for that. I can just open up these things that are already set up. I just like to review them before I post them. So if you're ready for 6 and I haven't posted it, you can just message me in our group chat and I can just get those activated for you, especially those of you working at home because I don't see where you're at. So let's make that the plan. So the Word Module 5 quiz, I'll just rename it now. We'll just call it our study guide. If Schoology will cooperate. I've been slow for me. I'll add more details here, but you can see in the video what we'll do with that. I'll add some more details when I'm off video here. So that's what we'll work on at home for you guys until we have all the planning and everything set up to remote login. I'm hoping that's enough information for you all to get working. And thanks for checking this out. Make sure you're staying top of attendance. I'm going to go ahead and use just the updates section. I think that's the best way because in the morning each day you could just click on updates. And when I'm here first block with whatever cohorts here in the morning, just whatever I'm going through, I can just briefly put that information there and then add any video support if it's necessary that day. Thanks for checking in. I hope this gets everybody underway, especially since I won't see Group B till next Tuesday.